Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. So, question for you. Would you like to discover more about yourself, more about others, truly transform your life into something that you believe it should be, maybe be more conscious of life, maybe feel more alive? There's something called core energetics that can help you get there. And she's somebody that has been practicing this for some time, helping others out at Core Conscious Connection. I'm talking about Marian C. Burke, and she joins us once again here in the program. How are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Terrific. I have to ask you, before we even go on, and your phone number, the exchange, looks like it's from Long Island, where I am.
Oh, yeah. I lived in Long Beach for 25 years.
Ah, all right. Yeah. I have a relatively new friend that lives there and has been telling me, you got to get here. I've been there a number of times, but you have no idea. Walk the boardwalk, even in the fall. I'm like, all right, I got to do that. Got to get there.
Yeah, it's a lovely community. It really is.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. Yeah.
So now you're upstate New York, right?
Yes, I am. I'm up on the Onto Hills.
Beautiful. But you can work with anybody anywhere.
Yes. Yeah, thanks to Zoom.
Yeah. And thanks to, I never thought I'd say this, COVID, which made it more of acceptable for all of us to connect through Zoom. So core energetics. Let's start with just a definition. What exactly is it?
Well, core is the center of who we are. It's the center of who we are. We're all, even our master organs are our heart, our lungs, whatever. And energetics, it's energy. Like all of us are energy. We're all connected to each other, and we're connected to a source, whatever you want to call it, God, energy, the universe, power, what have you. And that's how core energetics got its name, because it is central to who we are as energetic beings.
So when we talk about energetics, are we truly talking about this thing called energy?
Yes.
It is something I have been studying for the last number of years. I was always aware of it, but not to the level that I'm at now in harnessing it, realizing what it does, how it changes our relationships, for the better, and all of that. So I'm intrigued here. How did core energetics begin? How was it? Maybe the best word is how was it discovered?
Well, actually, in the 1930s, this man, Wilhelm Reich, worked with Freud, and he came up with the characterologies for the different types, the body types and leakages and blockages. And, oh, my God, all the psychiatrists were very excited. They're like, oh, Reich is brilliant. Oh, my God, this is wonderful. And then he said, yes, and now you must come out and interact with your clients. And they were like, oh, Reich is crazy. No. They didn't want to do that. But anyway, he moved to the United States, and two men studied under him, John Parakos, MD, and Alex Sloan, MD. They were both psychiatrists. And they learned all about the body and the blockages and the leakages and what they could do to help their clients who were coming in to see them. And they got together and they formed what's called bioenergetics, bio being the body and energy, energetic. And they worked with their clients very nicely. And then John Parakos, he felt there was something missing. There was just something missing. There was something, it just didn't sit right. What is it? He couldn't put his finger on it. And then he read something that a woman had wrote, and he said, oh my God, I must meet this woman. And her name was Eva, and she was an Australian dancer, ballet person, and she was out with her boyfriend and had a terrible motorcycle accident, and her legs were, well, they told her she would never dance again. So, and it took her a year to heal, and in that year, she picked up and she started journaling. And then it was no longer her handwriting. It was no longer her thoughts. She was channeling. And anyway, John Parakos read one of her channeled messages, and he said, "Oh my God, I must meet this woman." And he met her, and that was it. Boom. That was the missing piece, was the spirituality aspect of us. And core energetics was, this is what he created. Core energetics, using his wife's channeling ability and his mastermind ability. He could play your body like a musical instrument. Anger, laughing, joy, unsure, fear. Amazing. Just by touching.
Wow.
Different parts of the torso. He was absolutely amazing. Amazing man.
So
yeah.
I have lots of visuals of what it could be based on other energy healing modalities. But when can you walk us through let's say a session for core energetics?
Okay. A client comes in and, okay, what's going on? And the client says, well, nothing in particular, really. Everything's going smoothly and, nothing's happening. Okay, well, let's get to work. So you do an energizing exercise, so to speak, whereas you bend your knees and you lean over, you connect with the earth with your fingertips, and you straighten your legs and flex, straighten, flex. Always in core energetics, you keep your knees flexed, and then you can pound your legs, pound your feet, and move up the body. And it really gets you in touch with the entire body. Your back, your shoulders, your chest, your belly, your head, your neck, everything. And then it's like, okay, put your hand on your heart and one on your belly, second chakra, and check in with your body and see how you feel. Now, the exercise has energized the body, so it's easier for people to then find or touch wherever they feel blocked or just not right about their bodies. And then they speak, what is that part? Let's say it's tension in the back. Okay, let's say it's tension in the back. And you say, well, if that tension in your back could speak, if those muscles could speak, what would they say? And they could say anything. Steve, they could say anything. They could say worthlessness. They could say anger. They could say, I don't know. They could say, just anything, as far as their feelings are concerned. And then the next step would be, would you like to energize that, whatever it is? And, of course, they're there for core energetics, and they say, yes, they do want to energize it. And then they go through the releasing that part of the back, first of all, with breathing and then with motion. And through the motion, like this stuff comes up from the unconscious, and it is absolutely amazing. It is just so beautiful because people release whatever it is that came up for them in their back, and they go under the mask, they go deep down into who they are, and it's usually, they've been hurt. It's sadness and pain. And this is being exposed to them as well as to the practitioner. And they look at the practitioner to see, is this acceptable? Are they judging me? What's going on? And the practitioner is right there with them,
wow,
cheering them on, supporting them, loving them, and being totally there for them. So it really creates, number one, a release and a transformation. And some people think, transformation, that means being better than who you are. Well, no, a transformation means a change, from a caterpillar to a butterfly. That's the transformation. And it is quite fantastic to experience, to see, and to assist others to have.
So there's other energy healing modalities. For example, I don't know, talk about Reiki. We'll just pick that one out, random.
Okay.
That doesn't involve essentially physical touch. It may be somebody, if you're in person, not doing it virtually, that might be their hands are near your body, but they're not physically touching you.
Right.
Is core energetics, now I know you do it virtually, but is it also about the touch as well if you're in person?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely, because that energy, exchange, if it's in person, yes. If it's not in person, you actually have the person touch themselves where you see that they need to be touched.
Well, funny you should say that, because when it's Reiki, there have some practitioners have had Reiki virtually where they have it sounds crazy, but a stuffed animal, and that represents the person that they're working with, and they'll hit the certain points, meridian chakras on that doll to mimic the actual person. So that sounds all perfectly reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Energy is transformative, and it's always in motion. If we're healthy beings, the energy flows freely through the body, through the skeleton, through the muscles, through the fascia, through the blood. Everything flows freely. And when we have, and we all do, have trauma that's been unresolved, it mucks up the body, and it mucks up the energy. That's where the energy blocks come in.
What causes those?
Trauma.
And what is trauma? I have answers in my mind, but I want to hear from you.
Okay, well, trauma could be anything. Let's say as a child, you get hit, and you want to hit back. I mean, that would be a traumatic experience, being hit, because it's like disrespecting that space, that body, that person, that human being, and you want to hit back, but of course you can't. So that trauma gets located and stays in the muscle. Now, if this trauma is repeated over and over and over again, excuse me, the muscles get harder and harder and harder. And so does the fascia, and so does everything else.
Oh.
So the body doesn't really move very freely.
Wow.
So a trauma for you might be, somebody speaking unkindly to you.
Sure.
A trauma for someone else could be being hit. Yeah.
Or it could be you're a 6-year-old, you're passing the kitchen, your parents are in there having a conversation, you overhear something. They're not even talking about you, but you're a little kid. So you internalize it, and then you're holding that in, and now that affects your life. Or bullied on the playground. You could be 8 years old and got bullied on the playground, and that has been impacting your life as an adult in many ways. Maybe self-worth, confidence, feeling that you're not good enough, and you're holding that trauma in. I gotta tell you, Marian, I'm intrigued because you mentioned fascia, and I didn't know that came into play with core energetics.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Every part of the body and mind comes into, is important in core energetics, because it doesn't just, this trauma just doesn't affect one part of the body. Like, let's say the muscles. Oh, it's all in the muscles. No. It's in the muscles, it's in the bones, it's in the fascia, it's the cartilage. I mean, it is all there. So when people get to release that trauma, oh my gosh, it is just so freeing. It is so freeing, because we all have a dark side. And that trauma, we use that trauma, whatever the trauma is, to build our defenses, to protect ourselves emotionally from any more trauma.
Sure, because it's a trauma. It's a trauma for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it hurt us. So
yes, exactly.
That's why it's still stuck there as a protection mode. But we're still running on the kid program. You say to somebody, "You're acting like a child." You are. Literally you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. With whatever trauma it was that took place.
Exactly. Wow.
And so through these movements, through various movements that you do and exercises that you do, you bring this trauma up that we have forgotten. We have totally suppressed it. We've cut off from it. Our defenses are up. We don't even know they're there. We don't know the trauma is there for many, many people. And core energetics brings it to the light of day.
How
releases it.
How did this happen for you, where this came into your life, and I would assume maybe it changed your life?
Oh, my goodness. Absolutely. It absolutely did. Yeah. I grew up as the youngest of 7 children, and there was a bully. And he was the next one up from me. So he bullied me all my life. I mean, I lived with the neighborhood bully. Mm. And my parents didn't have to discipline anyone because they just didn't need discipline. But this guy did, and they really didn't know how to discipline. So my sister, I mean, I was living my life. I was happy going to college. I had everything going on fine. You know, I had no, forget about what, you know, growing up with him. And, you know, I was good. I was happy. And she came home one day and she said, "Did you ever hear coreconsciousness?" And I said, "No." She said, "It's wonderful." I said, "Really? What is it?" And she said, "It's hard to describe." She said, "But go try it. Just go try it and see how you like it." So I was like, all right. So I went to a coreconscious practitioner, and of course I said I was fine, nothing going on with me. And I started the movements, and oh my goodness. It was like you think Mount Vesuvius exploded. Holy cow. And I was so surprised. I was so surprised. I had all this anger and rage going on that I was really unaware of. I really can honestly say I was unaware of it. And when I left that first session, I felt like I had lost 20 pounds of weight because I had just brought up and discharged so much negativity that I was carrying around, you know, like, Marley in the Christmas Story, mm-hmm. And he's pulling the chain behind him. Well, that's what we do. And that's what I was doing, but I didn't realize it. I wasn't even aware of it. Wow. So, yeah, it was very amazing for me, and I had closed my heart because I had to. I had to for my protection, and coreconsciousness opened my heart.
Amazing.
To love. Yeah.
It's no matter what it is, once you figure this out and you take the chains off of you that are being held on from the stuff that you dealt with, the traumas mm-hmm. and all of that, isn't it just a refreshing, free, wonderful feeling that you have resilience, you have faith in yourself, like nothing, you're unstoppable once you get to that point. You feel the same?
Yeah, absolutely. Because now you know nothing is your fault. You are worthy. Mm. You are confident. You have a treasure trove of gifts within you. And it's really wonderful. Yeah, it's great. It's freeing. That is freeing. You're free to be who you are, who you really are.
Who you were designed to be.
Yes.
And your purpose here in life. And yes. Wow, I can feel your passion from this yes. and how it's changed yes. your life and how you want others to know about it as well. Yes. Is there any modality it's even close to? Like I mentioned Reiki before, but is there anything just for, you know, understanding comparison purposes? Is there anything close to it?
Oh, bioenergetics.
Okay.
The same thing, except it doesn't have a, you know, spirituality factor. But in my mind, you know, if you get rid of all this stuff that's within and the defenses become conscious and all this unconscious negativity becomes conscious, then that you are in touch with your spirituality. But coreconsciousness takes it a step further.
So final question.
Yeah.
When you say spirituality,
mm-hmm.
everybody's got a reasonably different definition of it. How do you define it?
Oh, how do I? Well, this is something, I'll tell you a little story that happened to me. I went to Manhattan. I had an appointment, and I was early. So I sat down in this fresh squeezed orange juice place that was all glass. The whole corner was glass. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there, you know, just whiling away the time, and all of a sudden, Steve, I call it a lightning strike of love. I was infused, surrounded by, comforted by, held by love, this energy that I never felt before. And I looked out the window, and I saw a silver thread coming out of everyone's heart. Young, old, crippled, fine, black, white, Chinese. It didn't make any difference. We all had this silver thread coming out from our chests, coming out from our hearts. And I understood we were all connected to each other and to a source. And like that, it was gone. The feeling was gone.
Mm.
But like I had that visual, and I'm like, oh my God, we are all related. We're all interrelated. When I hurt someone, I'm hurting myself. And when someone hurts me, they're hurting themselves, you know?
Well,
when someone helps, it's the same way. It's just like we are totally connected.
To your point.
We haven't known this. But anyway, go ahead.
To your point, somebody said this a long time ago, and it's resonated with me. When you point the finger at somebody, what's happening? You have three fingers are pointing back at you. Think about it.
Actually, 4. The thumb is pointing back too.
depends on your dexterity and mobility, for sure.
There you go. No, it's true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It really is. Wonderful talking with you and learning about this amazing thing called Core Energetics. How do we find you? How do we connect with you? If somebody wants to ask some questions, maybe even book a virtual session, how do we do that?
You go to Proton Mail. That's Core Conscious Connection. I'm sorry it's so long. Core Conscious Connection at protonmail.com.
Core Conscious Connection at protonmail.com, right?
Correct.
Got it. Yeah, and I'm sure you're happy to answer questions, a free consult.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your energy is amazing, and your passion just shines on through. It really does.
Oh, thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. And you are a wonderful interviewer. Really.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I don't consider myself an interviewer. I'm just somebody that's curious. That's it.
That's what makes you an excellent interview. You're curious, so it's easy to connect with you.
And by the way, I started doing this. I mean, I've been doing broadcasting since I was a kid. Seriously, I got paid. My first job on radio I was 17. But doing what I'm doing now, and I still do radio, a couple of years later, all of this showed up when I needed it, and that was part of my journey. So that's where I learned about all of this. And, I had a belief in energy, psychics, all of that. But all of this, when it showed up, a couple of years ago, was a game changer for me. And this is just part of it. I've learned so much from you, even today, and sharing it with others about Core Energetics. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve. You have a beautiful, blessed day.
You too. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole, or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.